Well, you may remember this episode. Actually, a lot of people remember this episode because a lot of people listen to it. Layla, thank you for being back on the network.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me back. I have missed you. What's
I
been
miss you
going on?
too. Well, a lot's been going on. I mean, life is always evolving and changing. But been checking out your podcast. I love the titles of your episode.
What's your favorite title?
I mean, maybe the most recent one I think just popped up on my Apple podcast today. What was it? Cunt something.
No,
No.
I don't. No, I didn't. I don't know if I've used the word cunt in a title.
Really? Let's check this out here. I'm gonna check this out. Man, I hope maybe this wasn't you.
Are you cheating on me?
I may be cheating on you. I don't want to, but
D, are you cheating on me?
I'm gonna find this out right now. This is what we do on here. Curious Girl Diaries. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Playing with my C blank blank T clock.
My click clock.
Click. Oh, see, I looked at it. Okay, I'm the one that said the word. Okay.
You saw the wrong word. You saw what you
can't
wanted.
say that.
I can say click clock.
Okay. No, why did I say cunt clock? I don't know why I said
that. That's
what
a
is
new
that?
one.
What is that? What does that even mean?
It's okay. It sort of comes from learning about the way, all the things that feel good on a woman's clit. Like you kind of go around, you just go around it, go in circles, you play with her clit clock to see what time she's happiest.
Yeah. I was actually asking, what is the cunt clock? But I don't think anybody knows what that means.
I don't know, but I'll have to try to think of something, really fun and exciting, and I'll capitalize on that term.
All right. It's very explicit. I've said this way more than I've ever said in my life.
I know. I see. Look, I've just got you down in the gutter right with me.
You're pulling me way down, which is okay. It's all just conversation. 31 days of masturbation. Let's talk about that.
Yes, it's March Masturbation Madness Month. And I know. It's important. I feel like it's just 1 month where you just commit to masturbating for 31 days and you'll be surprised at what, no pun intended, comes out of it. Maybe pun intended a little bit there, but I did it last year, and I gotta tell you, it kind of like resets everything. It sort of like gets you ready for spring, a lot of spring humping, it primes the pump. And if you I like to start my day with it so that I walk around horny all day long. Okay. After you get it going. Yeah. And I do all kinds of different, I do different sessions. So week 1, I was kind of more doing like the afternoon delight stuff, meaning that's like a 30-minute session. I don't go as far as to like watch any porn or, get like a sex towel out or anything like that, but it's a little bit longer. It's not just like a real fast quickie. So that's when I was like playing with my clit clock and just exploring, really getting finite about all the little pleasure zones right on my clit. And I just actually released an episode today, getting down to the nitty gritty about all that.
Yeah. What was interesting? I loved it. I love talking to you. It's so fun. Is even before we got on and, we pulled down the camera so you couldn't see your face.
Yeah.
But it was like looking right at your boobs. You're like, oh, I should have wore something more like covering. I'm like, it's a funny dichotomy to say that, but then the content you put out, it didn't match to me,
Okay, well, I'm a complete, like if you saw me, you know what I look like. Now, if you saw me in the grocery store, would you be like, oh, that's a sex podcaster?
No.
So I have this thing where I think it's great to be, a lady, a proper lady, but also a total, sex goddess and love sex. And, I guess it's that old term, a lady in the streets and a freak in the sheets. I mean, that's kind of me to a T. Like, I
Interesting.
think I have these conservative habits and a kind of a more of a conservative maybe look about me. And then,
Mhm.
but then you listen to me on my podcast,
I
you're like, oh
know.
my gosh, that woman's got a potty mouth. I mean, I'm pretty out there, right? But
It's great though.
uh,
It's kind of like I love, like for me, like I can go from having a podcast about something, let's say maybe very conservative or complete opposite of this, and then I could come right into this. Could come right into this bad. I'm like, I could,
I'm not thinking like that, but you are. You've got
no,
your mind.
no. Wait a minute. See, I'm just going with the episode, whatever we're talking about. To come into this and also speak to this in a very just open way with it. I
Yeah.
like that. I like the kind of the change, because sometimes some people want to approach these things. So it made me think of this question just right off the top of my head is, what do you think the sexual values are in today's current culture, according to your point of view? And then I want to jump into something else after that related to that.
What do I think today's, can you say that one more time?
What do you think are today's sexual values of today's culture?
Sexual values. I don't, I don't honestly see a lot of values that I can think of right off the top of my head. What I notice the most is, and that's not, I'm not trying to say anything bad, but what I notice the most, and I'll speak, I think it's more for women. I notice with all the social media and stuff like that, it's more about, it's not about her worth or her like, being the whole package. It's, am I fuckable?
Okay.
And, like when you look at all this, so, the Instagram and the posing and the, and lipo sucking their bodies into strange shapes, that 15 years from now won't be popular and you're going to be stuck with an unpopular body shape instead of just staying with the one you had, like,
Yikes.
I'm not against, look, I'm not bashing, I'm not trying to, this isn't about bashing women. I just think there's this, it's just, I see this strange culture of, instead of, really trying to be the whole package. Like I say, I love the fact that, you can be conservative and hot, and you don't have to, you can show some skin, but not all of it hanging out all over the place. And I'm still, a while, I'm sure that put me up against some crazy person, some young lady on Instagram, I'm sure I'm having more crazy wild sex than she is. So, it's just weird. It's like the images, like I said, aren't matching up. And that's probably what I noticed the most.
Yeah.
I think that, women can be hot and sexy and all that without going to an extreme for it. There's other ways to convey that. So
Well, what's interesting, what I wanted to jump in next to was something that relates to it. We're going to
yeah,
get very cerebral here, but also dirty at the same time.
I love it.
So,
My two favorite areas to go to. Perfect.
right. There is a lot of research now that is starting to come out that is talking about the younger people, kind of your younger millennials, people are having a lot less sex than they used to. Have you seen this? That younger people are having sex at a very low rate these days. What do you attribute this to?
I have not seen that.
Mhm.
Let me clutch my pearls. Oh my God.
Hell no.
No, say it isn't so. I I think that it's probably, if I just had to take a stab in the dark at it, I would guess that it's because of, the way they grew up with more devices and connected to that. They're less connected to each other. And therefore, relating to each other has become more awkward. And, interpersonal connections have become harder. And therefore, obviously you have to relate good personally or have some sort of connectivity in order to escalate that to a, generally, right? In order to escalate that to a sexual situation. And so, they're just not even getting past step one, they're not getting past first base. So it's making it hard. I get that would be my guess.
I think it's a good guess. And to add on to that, so apparently what we're seeing in this area too is a lot of sexual dysfunction among younger people. I'm sorry, it's bad news. you know,
Oh my
where,
gosh.
yeah. So what we're seeing apparently for younger millennials is that people are having a hard time being stimulated because primarily because of what you said and this huge introduction to porn very
Porn.
young, and the access is so easy now for
Yeah.
people. This maybe unrealistic version of what sex may be, and also the fact that almost needing porn in order to feel stimulated. Your thoughts on this?
Okay, I know. This fact, and it has slowly been creeping up over the past, for me, 6 years that I've been doing this. I've become more and more aware of it. And at first I was like, oh, really? Is it really a problem? But you're right. I do hear this from, when I have younger podcasters on or talk to younger women, they're saying it's a problem, that they feel it's a problem. And you know, I being equal opportunity have dated some younger men, and I have found that not all of them, I don't want to, it's not all of them, but there are some, yeah, there's a percentage that, when I'm with them in a physical capacity, I have to give them a little correction, like, hey, that's not what I want. I don't know what put you in, kind of gave you that idea, but sit your ass down, buddy, because I'm about ready to show you how, how I want to be screwed.
Yeah, right. Most
But
definitely.
I think that, and of course they love that, but they don't mind being told that at all. But I think a lot of young women, they wouldn't have the they'd be out of their wheelhouse, having experience enough to say, take charge like that, and and say, wait a minute, and turn that situation around and still turn it into something that's hot, playful, fun, and sexy. But yeah, I think I don't think guys are leading. I don't think they're doing that based on, I don't think they're trying to be, disrespectful, or anything like that. But they're they kind of almost like they don't know any better. I think they think that's what women want. And
Right.
so maybe they are, I mean, they are trying, it's just that's not what we want right out of the gate. Some women might, but it's not likely.
And to add on to that, with that is even there's the performance issue of, again, this is not all younger people clearly, but there's becoming a lot of research related to this, just especially for males having a hard time actually even getting it up. And that's part of the sexual dysfunction that a lot of people are seeing. That is also very troubling,
I've heard that too. Yes, I've heard this too. And people want to jump right to Viagra, and like these
Right.
young kids are now, they're young men are using Viagra, and I'm just again, I've heard this too. It's quite, I haven't experienced that problem with a young man, but I have heard it, and so I have to assume it is going on. It's strange, I guess it really lets you know how these images are very powerful in wiring, the way they're wiring our brains. And I've, one, and kind of to your point, I'll tell you this, one of the reasons that I do, everyone, it sounds kind of funny, this March Masturbation Madness month, part of it is to I call mindfully masturbate and get back in touch with, like, reset myself. Cause I like to watch porn from time to time. And I love to do, I'll get out there with some kind of crazy high level stuff, that I'm achieving orgasm through. And it's not, normal everyday activities. And so I don't want to have my brain chemistry or whatever it is in your body that says, I need that in order to, have an orgasm. And so this first week, interestingly enough, I've been playing around with just a lot softer, lighter touch when I was doing that click clock work. And what I was actually doing was, had it in my mind, like fantasizing and pretending like I'm with a partner that, because every guy touches you differently, but I'm with a partner that this is the level of touch that he gives. And I have to find a way to orgasm in this situation regardless, so I'm kind of like challenging myself, and it's not when this is not the normal way that I touch myself and that I make myself come. And so I'm finding, I'm still able to do it, but you have to just sit down and kind of consciously train your body. It's like the masturbation Olympics going on at my house.
I bet it is. What time of day is this happening?
I didn't get an invite. I don't know why. They should have, I would have gone. I could have gotten the gold medal.
I know, who knows? The future is wild. It's wild,
Open up that category.
I know. So, actually, and adding to this, so, every time I talk to you, I feel it's just a different feeling for me. I have like where my mind is, but going back to like the images, okay? And we're talking about like Instagram and all these things. Is there kind of a disconnect between kind of this image of being super sexy, but actually not being very sexual going on?
How so?
So let's say you said, if I saw you out, I'd go, well, this looks like a very normal, not a sex podcast person. But we know that you have a very active sex life.
Yeah.
But what about the projection of people who project a maybe very sexual, active sex life, but it's actually not true? They're just projecting sexuality when actually it's not a big part of their life at all.
Unless you're an actual, this is what you do professionally, well, no, I don't even want to say that, because, I think there's probably women that work in strip clubs that aren't necessarily having sex either. So I almost feel like the more overt you are with it, it tends to, like you said, the opposite tends to be true. Because, it's almost like, I don't know, like a, what do you call, like a big dick contest, like, look at me, I'm so sexy, I must be having sex all the time. I don't know. I just grew, I don't know. I just always kind of had these strange little principles in my head, like about, being attractive, and sexy, but not over the top, because you can turn it on, and I could be wearing a gunny sack and, walk into a room. And by the way, I'm carrying myself, my posture, and just the way I will look at you, I can give you that stare, and what's on my mind.
Yeah.
So, and men don't, that's what men respond to. They respond to that energy. So I don't know. I find that, you might, I think you might be true. I think, it's like, it's more, I think the overt sexiness is more about, a lot of times, attention, or it's a means to an end, but not a means to sex. So, it's about attention, or how many friends do I get? How many likes do I get? How many OnlyFans people do I get? Who's on my, whatever, who's putting money in my pocket, that kind of thing. I think it's more for a gain other than sex.
Well, I think it goes, like you said in the beginning, which was like looking fuckable.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. Women don't care if they represent, that's to me, like, they don't care if they represent themselves as beautiful. I care about, like, I want a man to look at me and go, that she is beautiful, and be turned on by that. I don't want someone going, damn, that's fuckable. I'd like to, I don't want, it happens, it's a byproduct of it, but, it's not like I have to be sitting there with in my underwear with my, vaginal cleavage showing.
Yeah.
Speaking of cleavage, but I mean, like posting pictures of myself, like, I don't post pictures of my body. I don't post pictures. I haven't done that because, and I haven't felt I need to, and I'm not ashamed of my body at all. I like my body. I think it's damn sexy. Believe me, there's plenty of guys that have lots of pictures of me in their phones.
it just, talking to you about this, I think is interesting because I think, I keep coming back to this. Is there a disconnect between, wanting people to pay attention to you and those people thinking that you are a sex goddess and you all about this versus like, you're just taking pictures for attention and you're being overtly sexual, but you're actually not sexual. I feel like that's basically social media, is a lot of people are taking these very sexual pictures.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a false, I feel it feels
persona.
false to me. Yeah.
False persona. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I was just interested, like what you thought about, because like you're like, you don't need to see me. Like, but I mean, I've seen what you look like. I mean, you're a very attractive person, but you don't like wear that and social media. Very different.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, right. I mean, it's more about my mess. For me, it's more about my message. And for me, it's more about, how I make people feel and how I get them thinking and how I get them revved up and excited and hopefully, wanting to prioritize their sex life and have some fun with it, and that is the hallmark of the show, and my message really personally, it's just, I want people to get excited and know and remember how fun and playful, and rewarding, a great sex life can be, and just to keep that going. And that's, and I have done that, and it takes work, but it's like, I want to lead by example, I guess is my point.
Yeah.
And that doing that, just kind of standing for something, even though it's sex, which is already interesting, that's enough. I mean, that's enough for people to like you and find you interesting. And
Interesting. So I also noticed, kind of keeping with this on some level, I think you had an episode, it read about like Playboy, related to that, from Playboy to, I can't remember that.
Oh, Playboy to PhD. Yeah.
Now there's a big
That's
series out
Valerie.
right now. Yeah, Valerie Barber, right?
Mhm.
There's a big
Mhm.
series out on Playboy on Hulu, a big documentary about the
Yeah.
history of Playboy. I've been watching it with my wife, kind of the seediness of Playboy and how the women were treated, the whole thing. How do you think, what is your thought process about Playboy and how we've come from Playboy to the current culture of digital based sex podcast, sexual pornography, all these things? You see kind of Hugh Hefner's vision to where it is now. What's your thought process in that whole thing?
Well, oh gosh, this is a tough, this is tough.
The tough stuff.
First,
here.
it is tough. I don't think, look, if a woman's put in a position that she doesn't want to be in sexually, or she's sexualized in a way that she doesn't agree with, I'm not for that, of course. I also temper that, and I haven't watched the series, so I don't know, all the things. I've gotten little sprinklings, of like, there was like pictures apparently like that Hugh Hefner was maybe blackmailing some women with, like, or they were afraid, he always took pictures of them.
Right.
I don't know if it was in sex acts or things like that. And so they would be afraid to not go along with him, or they'd acquiesce to things they didn't want to, which I'm totally not okay with. I also, can speak to my own experience about when I was younger, this whole Me Too movement. I mean, if you're from my generation, you got Me Too'd. I mean, that was automatic. Every boss I had did it. It was, I don't want to say normal, but you were all, if you, a pretty girl was going to get some ding dong trying to take a shot and, and put you in a weird, awkward position. For me, I look back on that and thank God, there's no, and I understand there's a line you can cross with that. Like someone can, forcibly go farther when you said no. Fortunately, I wasn't ever in that position, but I certainly had precarious circumstances where, bosses were doing weird shit, but it taught me at that age to stand up for myself. And I knew where my line was, and I didn't have a problem, thank goodness, conveying that. And it taught me a lot. It taught me how to kind of, if someone's trying to steal that power from you, how to snatch it back real fast. And that, I have to say, those experiences gave me a lot of confidence as a woman. So, I hope, I guess my long story here is I just, I hope that the women that went through that can come away from it, even though nobody wishes that on anybody, that they're able to walk away with empowerment instead of, they can say, oh, I was, really disempowered, or hopefully they can find, how they get something good out of it. Don't let somebody steal all that from you.
Yeah. No, I understand.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. It makes sense.
I mean, since you can't go back and, rewrite the past, I could, like I said, I just look back on stuff I've been through and go, it's shaped me, and I'm kind of glad I had those lessons, because it's not, yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
I just turn it to your advantage. I don't know.
What do you think of the movement of a lot of people talking about sex positivity?
I hate that term.
All right, let's dig into this. Tell me why you hate it.
Because I hate, I just don't like undefined terms.
Me too. Oh my gosh. Whereas I don't like undefined terms. Completely.
What does that fucking even mean?
I agree.
Is that so am I to assume that if you're not, then the antithesis, you're sex negative if you're not sex positive? What does that mean?
I don't, that's why I'm trying to get to the bottom of operational defining most things. Like, what does that mean?
What does that mean? I don't know. So no, I don't, I don't know. I feel like it's just a new, I feel like it's a fluffy little term, that it's a feel good, fluffy little term that people like to, throw out and maybe sort of hide behind, like, oh, well, he just doesn't like a sex positive, woman.
But yeah, I'm totally with you on that.
I doubt that. Men would love to be with a woman that likes sex. If you like, I mean, assuming that's your definition of it, but I don't know what the fuck you mean by that. So I can't even comment.
It's kind of like, you see, I think we do this in various topics. We provide very vague, undefined terms. So like in my field is like, oh, I'm healthy. I don't even know what that means. Like, what, that seems very personal. Or, I mean, what does that mean to you versus what's the clinical definition? Like,
exactly.
Was it saying like sex positive? It's like, I figured, I was like, you know what? I wonder what Layla thinks about this. I don't get it. I honestly don't get it.
I don't get a lot of things these days. It's not, I mean, I don't know.
It's undefined, right? It's undefined. It's just, I don't know. It's up to your interpretation.
I don't want to get canceled, but like, I don't get the whole pronoun thing either, to be honest with you.
I actually had a conversation about this yesterday. Don't worry about getting canceled. You'll be fine. I think you'll be fine. I think, you know what it is? Here it is. And here, I'm going to give you my take on it. I'll just say stuff. Because if you say things thoughtfully, a lot of people get canceled. They say they don't understand how to deliver a message.
Yeah.
Intelligently. Sure. They just say crazy stuff and then they get whatever. But for me, I think if however gender wise, however you want to be identified, I will certainly do that for you. How you feel about yourself, right? Like just be the same way how I want to be identified ethnically or something. I want to honor that, whatever that is for you. However, on the same sense, I don't necessarily think I should be forced to identify that myself
Yeah.
on that. Like that, I don't want to be forced to say, well, I need to put down he, him, whole thing or whatever. But I want to respect your point of view for that. I don't think that's a bad thing. Now, somebody might think, "Oh, Darian, that's terrible," but listen, that's just my, to me, intelligent point of view for that.
100%
Yeah,
agreement with that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm 100. And I just don't like, I guess maybe to clarify when when I said that, I feel like it's pretty obvious, that I'm a woman, and you would say she or her. And if I wasn't, or if I wanted, and it's the same thing. Like if I felt like I wanted to be identified another way, I would tell you, but, and anybody that tells me and that's what they want, I'll absolutely respect
of
it for sure.
course.
Yeah. Yeah. But I find it weird when I see like it's popping up more and more when you fill stuff out. It's like they ask you what your pronouns are, and I'm like,
I mean, you could just, you don't have to do it. I mean, it's
not obvious. I don't know. Yeah, I don't do it. I don't,
Yeah.
and I haven't changed like my email, like signature or anything like
No,
that.
I haven't either. And it's not disrespectful, my point of view. I'm open to hearing other options about it. I just like, I want to respect how someone views themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't want to mess that up for you because that's deeply personal. I want to respect that. But in the same sense, and I'm not saying anyone has done this to me. No one has done this to me. But in the same sense, I wouldn't want somebody to say, you have to do that for yourself. That's where I draw the line. I'm like, okay, well, do you want me to say, if I'm in a Zoom call, put Darian Parker, black, male, like, where does it end?
Black him.
Black, yeah, like black him. Like, I don't know. Like, there's, I think we just have to be respectful of each other. But on the same sense, it's like, okay, you don't have to push your gender, how you feel gender wise, like the sense that I need to do the same thing for that.
Yeah. Yeah. The other term I don't like, since we're getting into that, is, or I'm not, I shouldn't reference it like coming off of this. Like, I don't like, I was going back to, when we're talking about sex positive, but another term that I don't quite get, or this whole movement, is like this high value man thing, and I'm like,
what's that?
You have not heard that? Oh,
high value man?
What high value men want? High value man want a blah, blah, blah. Why a high value man doesn't want this kind of woman? Why? I'm like, why women want high value men? And, it's like, and there's a certain classification that you're supposed to know what's designated as a high value man. So, it's like, okay, what, is this so we're now, so that means if there's high value men, then there's low value men.
I never heard of what's a high value man.
And what am I, who have I been with? I don't know. Like,
does this mean like a more well-to-do man? Like, what does that mean? I don't like know what that means.
I don't know. Is this relating? See, I don't think it's relating to net worth, although that's what you would think.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I think words are very powerful, and how you define things are very powerful. And it's on a more, I would say, a less controversial note. It's like when someone says, I'm really motivated. I'm like, okay, that's a really vague term. Like, I know the actual technical definition of it, but like, do you know the technical definition of it? Or the thing that drives me, okay, listeners, I'm going to tell you, this is a big pet peeve for me. This is like a big thing for me. Drum roll. I can't stand when people say the word karma, because most people do not understand what that actually means. And they use it in a very American sense of things, a tit for tat. You did this wrong, so something bad's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
And it actually doesn't mean that at all. At all. And it's why I had a monk.
Eye for an eye.
It's like, I'm like, this is using things. See, that's karma, blah, blah, blah. But if you really look at it, the Far Eastern aspect, the original aspect of karma has literally nothing to do with that. Like nothing. I had a Buddhist monk on one time and we talked about it. It was
Oh,
very enlightening
yeah.
about karma. And he was so kind about it, you know? But like
Yeah.
it's like we take stuff from other places and we completely destroy it. And we make it weird. It has no essence of the original place that is from.
Yeah.
So we just make
Yeah.
it up. You shit on me, so now somebody else is gonna get you back. You know, it's like, no, that's just called consequences at some point. It's like
Yeah.
you commit a crime at some point, there's gonna be a consequence. And like you can't,
Right.
not karma. I mean, it's like
I always say, well, the world's a fair place. You know, I mean, the laws of science, everything in nature seeks to equalize. So, you know, there
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah. And my
Yeah.
last thing is kind of like when somebody tells me, I don't make fun of stuff. That's not my thing. But if somebody says, well, the universe told me, I go, what does that mean?
Sorry.
I just want to know. No, I just literally want to, this goes back to the definition of things.
Yeah.
What does
right.
that mean? Define it for you, how you see it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
that's my whole thing with that. It's
Yeah.
like, there's so much. That's where we get in trouble, I think, is we start with vague terms and everybody interprets it the way they think it should be, and nobody knows
Yeah.
what they're saying to each
Yeah.
other.
Well, that's yeah. And then we have big miscommunications.
Right. So the sex positive thing, that's why I wanted to ask you, because I was like, what do you think about this? I don't even know what it is, you know, like, I don't know.
It's not it's really not part of my vernacular. So
Interesting. I've heard it.
Yeah.
I heard it with so many people's vernacular. I've heard it a lot. I don't know.
I mean, I may have used it you know, but it's not a staple.
Yeah. Okay.
I may have been using it, you know, in context of repeating it back to somebody or something like that.
Sure.
But yeah.
Yes. So, okay, it's story time now, Layla. It's story time. Last time we had some great stories from you. What's
Mhm.
the most recent, really interesting sex story you have to tell us here on the network?
Most recent, let me think. Well, like I wouldn't say I'll tell it, but I don't, it's not like it was super, it's not like it was super exciting, but you know, I mean, he was very skilled, so
Mhm.
that's always a plus.
It's always a plus. It was not
That's
like
all.
that one story where you went to this house and it was like a buffet, but it was like an orgy or something like that. I thought
It
that was
was
the craziest thing, man.
that I mean, that's probably not the craziest thing, but it was funny because you know, I just had this idea. That was a sex party. I just had this idea like, oh, people are gonna be super sexy, and you know, we were wearing masks, and you know, it's gonna be like everyone's gonna be beautiful, and it's gonna be like eyes wide shut. We're gonna go to this big mansion on the hill, and we roll up to the suburbs, you know, and it's somebody, and I'm like, what? You know, there's minivans all over the place, and there's, you know, it's a bring, you know, what do you call that? Potluck. It's a
Potluck. It's so
potluck.
weird though.
And there's bubbly chili, and you know, and
Ooh.
I'm like, oh my gosh, could you imagine eating that and then trying to have sex? That seems so counterintuitive. I mean, I don't even know. Like, I'm like, who thought this up? Anyway, so just you know, just recently, just being with a guy that he was saying, you know, he was really good at oral sex, and I'm like, great. I love me some good oral sex.
Yeah.
And he was okay.
Oh man. You know, like he said a lot, but it wasn't as good as what you thought it should be.
You know, I'll tell you this. I'll put the onus on me. I think I didn't, I was just going because of kind of what he said, and I was enticed by that. I was lured in by the, you know, by the thought of, ooh, I'm going to get some really good oral sex, because I haven't had some great, you know, can I say the P word?
Of course.
Oh yeah, I haven't had some great pussy eating in a long time. So you know, or it's been a while. And so you know, it's like, hey, that sounds good to me. You know, I'm going to show up for that. And and the whole thing, overall was a B. I give it a B. But I was really just, I was crossing my fingers, like, please, just, why don't you be the one that just blows my freaking mind, like rocks my world? Because, a lot of guys, I think they're good at it and they're not. And
why is that? Why do you think that is?
Because I think women, I've had this talk with other women, and I think that other women have lied to them. They just fake an orgasm and pretend like it's good so they can get it over with and move on to penetration, because it's not any good. They're not going to have an orgasm and they just want to move it along.
Okay.
And sad but true. Yeah.
Sad but true story.
I won't fake an orgasm. No, I will. I don't feel I need to,
Yeah. Have you ever though?
Oh yeah. Yeah. When I was younger, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. For the same reasons, you just want to, you don't have you're not confident. You're not sexually confident. You don't have the skills to actually want to tell him what to do. And for whatever reason, it's awkward. And, now it's, like I said, that story I told you where I told the guy, hey, sit down, I'm going to show you what to do. Like that, guys love that. So I hope, some of your female listeners, if they're not quite getting playful with it, and take that as an opportunity to like spice it up, then you're missing out. And so of course I did with this guy. And, and finally we got the result that I was hoping for. And eventually, we did. And then we also moved on to sex. And that was fun. I mean, I enjoyed the sex more than I did the oral sex, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I loved it. It was interesting the way you described that. We got the result that we're looking for. It sounds very scientific.
Well, we got the result that I was after.
I got the result. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I know. Well, I mean, I definitely, when women put effort into getting ready and all the shaving and the coiffing and everything that goes into it, when, someone's going to be down there, you're hoping for a good result.
It just sounds funny. I don't know.
You just haven't been single in a while, though. So
are you kidding me? I haven't been single for 19 years. I mean, I've been married for a long time.
Yeah, I know. So as I said, thank your lucky stars. You don't have to go through this stuff anymore. But yeah, it's totally, I mean, you just gotta, women are thinking this though. We're like, okay, we have, we're hoping for a good result. We're cautiously optimistic.
We're hoping for a good result.
Let's go.
So here's a question. So how do you see your sexuality, or how you view sex evolving as you age?
I think it gets better and better, actually, because you're more confident. You understand your body better.
I agree with this, by the way. Yes.
Don't you? I mean, think about the sex you had.
Yeah. I mean, recently, this week, I mean, it's pretty.
Yeah. I mean, or just even, so compare that to the sex you had, when you were 20 or 22 or whatever.
Sure.
I mean, oh my gosh, it head and shoulders above, what I was doing back then. I'm so much more adventurous, vocal, like I am way more fun to fuck than I ever have been.
Guys, you hear this? Way more fun.
Way more fun. Yeah. It's just, yeah. I mean, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy, and I appreciate it. And it, it's something that I want to do. I think when I was younger too, it may have been, I don't want to say obligatory, but
Mm.
because it wasn't that great, oh, there was times when it wasn't that great with certain partners. So, you're just kind of like, I could take it or leave it,
Yeah.
but now, I mean, I love it. Yeah.
Do you think
It's
you'll
important.
always be like operating how you're currently operating, like not having one person you're with regularly, or, you'll always kind of operate in this fashion?
Well, I have had regular partners throughout this,
Oh, okay.
those have been, open relationships
I
where,
see.
yeah. So I have had a primary partner in primary relationships, and I prefer that, but I like the freedom, I like being with someone where we can negotiate what works for us and what, what we're both okay with. And so that just to me kind of says that we're going to have a certain level of non-monogamy going on,
Mm,
and that's okay.
yeah. Is
But
it
it's
hard?
fun, maybe we're doing it together, I mean, like, it's just, it's fun.
Do you find that it's hard or easier to find another person who's into that?
Oddly enough, you think that men would be like, this is great. But it's different when for me, I found that men can have just as many reservations or problems with it, if not more, than women,
Hmm.
because men are very territorial. They don't want to think about some other guy, excuse me my language, dicking their girl down,
Mhm.
or um and touching her the way he does, or and they have the same, it may come out differently, they're going to say it differently, it may be more of a macho way, but yeah, they have the same type of reservations that women do. you know
Yeah.
um is his dick bigger, is he better, is he better lover, that kind of thing. So, but when you're solid with each other, that doesn't that doesn't happen, and it just takes a lot of communication and being accepting that, there's times where something may not, like, if all of a sudden somebody doesn't like that person for a specific reason, or they're not comfortable anymore, then you may have to forego that for a bit, or totally, and make adjustments, because ultimately it has to be okay with the two of you.
Yeah. It's, it's very interesting.
Yeah, I know it's hard to imagine. But I never thought in a million years that I would be a proponent of it
Really?
either. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
No, before I started all this, no, I was totally vanilla, totally, there was no way I'd be, I mean, I probably said it. I'm sure I said as much at the beginning of the podcast too, just like, I'm not down for that shit,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not sharing. No way, no how. Yeah.
I just find your whole being very different than what is currently out there. Like, um, and from my perspective, in the sense that uh, I've been married forever, but I also talk to a lot of people who are doing a lot of different things in terms of sex podcast or in the sex business type of things. And everybody seems to be way out in front. Like, look at me, look at this, look at what I'm showing you. And I feel
Mhm.
like you're very different than that. You're
Yeah.
like, you're good with it, but you're not putting that out there. It's just a different vibe, which I think
Yeah.
is so interesting to me because it's very different than what's out right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I gotta tell you, um, in my business life, I have actually found a lot of success in you look at what everyone's doing. What are the masses doing? Do the opposite.
I'm the same way. The
Yeah.
same exact way. Actually, I just had this big conversation. I think I'm going to do like a little solo cast about it. Is how, like, like everybody, this is like literally everybody tells me this on here. It's like, I'm so exhausted of social media, but I feel like I have to be on there. I'm like, okay, there's a weird thing happening here. Like if you feel a certain way this way, but then the opposite, when will those meet and something changes for that? Like if
Yeah.
everybody feels they have to be successful this way, doesn't mean that there's not another way. There's another way, but your thought process is like, well, everybody's doing this, so I need to do it too. But do you? But do you?
No,
You don't.
no,
You
you
don't.
don't. No, you absolutely don't. I don't personally, like for my own personal social media, I don't post on social media.
Yeah.
I don't like social media.
Yeah, I mean neither.
I don't think, it's funny. You're going to hear something in my mouth. You're going to go, what? I quite frankly don't think that my life is that interesting that people give a shit about seeing what I'm drinking for how I get my latte and what what my dinner looks like and where where I'm vacationing. It's just like, who gives a rip? I mean, I
No,
don't care.
exactly.
When I want to connect with a friend, I pick up the phone and have a conversation with them.
Correct.
I, like literally, like I love, just when I think of someone and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's that person doing? Or I miss them, or I just reach out and say, hey, what's going on? Let's get together. I find value in the connection and the, sharing a dinner, come over for dinner, or let's go somewhere. You want to, let's drive to here, like doing fun things, having experiences. For me, that's like the stuff of life. The social media bullshit, it's nonsense. And quite frankly, and in my opinion, to break it down very simply, all you're doing is you're just a marketable product that these big companies have made a ton of money off of, and you are doing it for free. Now, what I like about social media is I love to dissect the business model. It's brilliant. It's fucking brilliant. I appreciate it for that and that alone. And I'll take those concepts and I'm like, how do I apply those to my business? And with that same theme, just like it makes me more creative when I see that kind of thing. But I don't want to be a part of that.
I love that. You know what? I'm telling you, I've been talking to everybody about this. And I say, like, imagine something you hated a lot, right? But you kept doing it because everybody else did it. That sounds crazy to me. That actually sounds crazy. But that's like what's happening.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously. Like if you hate something, it's exhausting. Or like I was telling someone else the other day, I was like, somebody says, oh, I have to be on Facebook to keep up with family members. I'm like, why don't you just call them? Like, why don't you just like, or just let's define this. What you're telling me is you want to have a voyeuristic relationship with your family members on the site. That, if you're being honest, that's what it is. Because, just call your mom or somebody, your cousin, and tell them, can you give me so-and-so's number? I want to talk to them.
Yeah.
You can keep up with people without it. So that's, and going back to you, is you seem to have this really robust podcast, all these amazing guests, all these different, and you're not even necessarily conforming to what is going on out there.
Yeah,
that should give people hope. That should give people hope. Seriously.
Yeah.
You don't have to do what everybody else is doing.
Right.
You really
That's a
don't.
good point. Yeah. No, you don't. I mean, I want to say, obviously I do have a social media for the Curious Girl Diaries podcast, my podcast. But I don't run it.
Yeah.
I don't post. Those are, I have somebody that does it. Because if it was up to me, it wouldn't happen. I just don't like it. I do get on there. I'll get on there and interact with people. But I don't like that. That is all in someone else's hands. I just don't, it's not my thing. I don't get any enjoyment out of creating the stuff or, oh, look at no.
Yeah. Yeah, you hear that, everyone? She gets enjoyment on other things in real life.
I can enjoy, I mean, my definition of enjoyment is ORGASM. Thank you.
Thank you. What a pleasure always to speak to you, Layla. Just
I'm
always,
so happy you had me back.
of
Thank you
course,
so much.
anytime. You can come back
Yes.
anytime. It's just
I loved my first experience on your show. That was awesome. And that's why I'm so glad you had me back. I
yes.
enjoy talking to you. I think you have a nice vibe.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
See, it's a good result, everyone. It's a good result.
It's a good result. We got a good result. That Dr. Parker, he gets a good result.
Great result. It is. I was looking forward to this. I really was. And I just love how open you are with your sexuality, and your podcast is fantastic. The variety, everyone needs to check this out. Curious Girl Diaries. And also like how you're not so far, you're not out there like that too. And again, it's a good lesson that in many ways, like you can be very open and sexual, but you don't have to portray yourself like everyone look at me all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's what's out there right now is look at me. Look at every picture. I'm laying in my bed. I'm eating a cookie. I'm working out. Look at my little shorts, stuff like that.
And it's all the same pictures.
It's the same stuff.
Like, people are doing like, at least God, have some imagination. Like, and I'm just trying to like this look and this angle and
yeah.
And you'll see somebody that like it's always the same facial expression, the same angle, the same head tilt. It's like,
yeah.
What does the other side of your face even look like? Like what? I don't know. Or I don't know. Yeah, and when I see this out in public, like when I see girls doing that, like you can tell when they're posing for a selfie.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, I just want to say, oh girl, do you just like it's almost like there's no shame, like I would be so embarrassed for myself if I was just if anybody saw me doing that. I would be so, I'm embarrassed when I see them doing it. I'm like, oh my God, no, girl, no. I don't feel like.
What is that? Is it like maybe I was on a plane one time and I saw a row of 3 women and all they did the entire flight was take selfies of themselves. And I was like, this is so cringe-worthy. But then I started thinking to myself, why is this so weird to me? Like, is it just like it's just tremendous amounts of self-indulgence that I don't like? Or I don't know. I had to really think about it,
I'll tell you what my reaction is. I feel like it's a completely overt display of lack of self-esteem.
Bingo.
And it makes me uncomfortable to see it. That's the truth. For me, that's how, when I see it, because it would take I would have to be so insecure to do that. And seeing someone, a woman, because I'm like, come on, girl, raise yourself up. No, and to see that makes me uncomfortable. Yeah. Wow. I'm embarrassed. Like, it's like, when someone's acting a fool, that's what I feel like. I'm like, oh my God, I'm watching it. Oh my God, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
It is. Yeah, I can. Well said. Well said. That's all I have to say about that. Well said. Layla, thank you so much for being here with me. I'm going to do it again. We have to do it again.
Let's do it. Yeah. Anytime.
For sure. Listen, I want you to have a great rest of your day. Here's to masturbation March. Like, any last words?
Week 2, March Masturbation Madness Month. And guys, if you want to find out more about the Curious Girl Diaries podcast, you can go to my website, curiousgirldiaries.com. I love voicemails. You can leave me a voicemail if you have any comments about this episode. There's a pink tab on the right-hand side. Just click on it. You got 5 minutes to let it rip, and I will get back to you personally. So it's a great way that we can connect. Also, if you want to link to my social medias, just scroll down at the bottom of the homepage and they're all there for you. Easy peasy. And in about a week, I have a kind of exciting announcement. I'm putting together a little easy to follow freebie little course on just how to do your own sex bucket list, because that's the thing that launched the whole Curious Girl Diaries. It's the number one question I get is how do you make a sex bucket list? So I'm putting together just a small little tutorial to give people some creative ideas on how I did it and then how I update mine. And you guys can make your own if you feel so inclined.
Beautiful. Awesome. Layla, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Until next time.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Parker. Bye.